Hey Narwhals, I'm your host Luke Narwhal, and welcome back to another weight loss video. Hope you enjoy. Is anybody else never satisfied with sweets and junk food in moderation? I love chocolate, chips, ice cream, nachos, Cheetos, and things like that. To be honest, I'm a bit too dependent on food for enjoyment and happiness, and I've sort of become addicted to it in the past 1 to 2 years. It's really hard, almost impossible for me to stay away from it unless I'm very distracted or busy. So of course, the weekends are very difficult since I'm free from work. I don't want to have to give up these kind of foods completely, but the problem is that I'm never satisfied, mentally, not physically, with the normal amounts. A single bowl of Cheetos or a small chocolate bar just won't do it for me. I'll be done with it in 5 minutes and either end up getting more food or feeling unsatisfied for the rest of the day. Yesterday, I had a bowl of Cheetos with Diet Coke and a 100-gram chocolate bar. It was probably around 800 calories, and for me, this was way less than I crave. I was making an effort to eat less. If I had followed my wishes completely, I would have had something more, maybe some more ice cream or hot chocolate with marshmallows, which would probably end up being 250 to 500 additional calories. Even when I'm trying to get used to eating less, it's still way too much. I feel like I'll never be able to enjoy things in moderation. I've tried fixing it so many times, but I always fail. Does anybody else have this problem? I absolutely get how you feel. Honestly, the only thing that has worked for me is understanding that I'll pretty much never feel satisfied no matter how much I eat of certain things. Or most things even. I think the breaking point was one day when I brought in some pastries for a coworker's birthday, and over the course of one day, ate 7 or 8 of them, and went home wishing I had taken a few more with me. And basically, how I think about it now is, whether I have 1 or 8, I'm always going to want more, so I may as well just have 1, or not eat them at all, if the result is going to be me wanting more either way. I've gotten better about my mindset over time, and I've fixed a lot of my binging habits, but the desire to eat a ton of certain things remain, and I just always have to tell myself that I'm going to be unsatisfied on some level either way, so I may as well eat the reasonable amount and wish I had more but be happier and healthier overall. Good luck to you, it's definitely a mental journey. For chronic overeaters, these things don't generally trigger any sort of stop signals until you've way overconsumed them, especially if you alternate between salty and sweet. One thing you can do is reset your palate so that you're more aware of the extreme saltiness and the extreme sweetness. I think this is what triggers normal eaters to stop eating these sorts of foods. Something like a 3-week sugar pause, or a reduction in your overall sugar consumption to lower your threshold for recognizing sweetness. But then, be sure to give yourself permission to eat. Always threatening to take away these foods will increase their allure. I'd also consider that these foods are doing more for you than just tasting good or filling your stomach. Maybe they sedate you, in which case your sleep schedule may need some help. The next time you get the urge to overeat, visualize the end of one of these binges. What does it look like? What will be your cue to stop? If it's feeling sick, that's a form of self-damage and should be treated as such. I have struggled with this too. What has really helped me is to have those things in moderation with something less calorie dense but also filling. I will have a giant bowl of broccoli with Bolthouse ranch, yogurt-based ranch, and then once it's gone, sometimes the want for the snack goes away entirely from fullness, or I'll eat the smaller portion but feel satisfied. I often do this too. I will have my portion of ice cream, and if I'm absolutely desperate for more snacks, it has to be something healthy. Apple, clementine, carrots. I generally mellow partway through that. I've always loved chips. There are a few things that have helped me incorporate chips or sweets into my eating habits in moderation. 1. Buying a smaller portion to start with. Sometimes I'm really craving some Lay's chips. I'll take a walk to the corner market and buy the smallest bag. That way, I get my body moving, which feels great, and I know I'm done when the bag is empty. Maybe I only wanted a bit of the taste and I saved the rest for later, or maybe I eat the whole bag, but instead of eating straight from a big bag at 1,000 calories, it's more like 400. 2. Adding variety, fiber, protein, etc. Sometimes I'll plop a small bowl on the food scale and portion out one serving of chips, one of hummus, and one of the baby carrots. By the time I'm done with my snack, I feel satiated. If I had the whole bag of chips still in my hand, I would have kept eating. Yeah, I struggle with binging. Enough is not as much as it takes to fill me. It's being able to choose to eat enough of everything to fill me. It's having enough takeaway for 4 people just because I wanted 2 mains and 3 starters. A single main inside would fill me. A starter would leave me very full, but I order and eat 2 to 3 times that because I love eating. I got it under control firstly by making it into a bit of a ritual. It became something I only do on special occasions, and I make everything nice. Clean flat, alcohol in fridge, film on TV, crockery warmed in sink. I am showered and clean. Heaven. For a long time, I kept that just to the weekend, but that's still enough to ruin a week's weight loss. So now it's something I can do maybe once a month or less. And now that I have the willpower to control it, I can prepare better. Say, if I do X and Y, example, long run, skip lunch, I can have one cheat meal, which makes it more earned and less cheat. I don't think I'll ever get past wanting to splash out like that, but the urge does die down the more you work at it. Regular meals can satisfy you if you eat slowly, and your body feels great. It's definitely worth it, and it gets easier. Another user mentioned this, but I agree. Most people are either a moderator or an abstainer. I can't take credit for this delineation. I heard it on a podcast by Gretchen Rubin. Basically, if you are a person who can eat 1 to 2 cookies and be perfectly happy, then you are a moderator. The idea of never eating a cookie again might be stressful, but you can control your intake. If you can eat 0 cookies or the entire bag, then you are an abstainer. Once you pop, the fun don't stop. If you are this type of person, it is often easier to not start at all than to start and have to stop. Once you figure out which you are, from your post, I'd guess that you are an abstainer. It becomes easier to figure out your game plan. I wish you luck. I find that I do so much better when I cut out these foods completely. It's hard at first, but after a while, I stop craving them. Chocolate, cake, ice cream, etc. are the only things I just can't cut completely. I just keep those for special occasions. I'd rather have a huge slice of cake once every few months than a 2-bite cupcake every week or a fun-sized candy bar every day. Mindful eating has also helped me. I also have a personal rule that I can eat sweets if I make them from scratch. Since I rarely have time or energy to bake from scratch, this helps me keep from eating them more than occasionally without feeling like I'm denying myself. If you can't moderate, you might want to abstain completely for a while. And don't make it never ever again, just cut out one factor, either salty or sweet, not both at once, for 2 weeks. Then try having a measured portion of whatever it is that you've cut out, but only after you've eaten a nutritionally complete, macro-balanced meal so that you are mostly full. You may find that lets you be satisfied with a smaller amount. Then repeat the experiment with the other side of the indulgence coin, either the salty or the sweet, and see what that does. Then repeat it with both. You'll likely find that you can be happy with the moderated amounts, particularly if you deal with any cravings for texture with healthier alternatives, such as crunch with fresh vegetables or the louchness of sweets with Greek yogurt. I can tell you that I've learned to moderate, not just treat food, but all food, in spite of naturally having a very big appetite. I've never been a snacker or overly fond of sweets or other junk, and yet still managed to become morbidly obese. The portion control and not the type of food is the issue. Recently, a friend of mine who had been to the US gave out bags of junk food they had brought back with them as a sort of consumable souvenir. I'm obviously not in the US. I took the opportunity to try hot Cheetos since I never had them, and had heard from multiple sources how irresistible they are. I weighed out a 200-calorie portion to try. At first, they were delicious. The spice was wonderful, the mouth felt entertaining, and I was enjoying them. But before I was halfway through that ration, they fell over the hedonic response cliff. The spice ceased to be complex or fun. They were just too salty and kind of metallic and bitter, and the texture wasn't engaging anymore. I stared at the dish and marveled at myself because I can promise you I would have inhaled the works and wanted more as recently as 6 or 8 months ago before practicing regular portion control. You could possibly attain this state of response too. You're searching for a feeling the food doesn't actually give you, so you eat more and more and more until there's none left, and you still probably don't have that rush of dopamine your brain so desperately wanted. At least that's how it works for me. My imagined enjoyment for things seems to be on a pedestal outside of reality. Luckily, as long as I stay medicated, I'm not dopamine deficient, so life doesn't feel like torture without having a crutch for happiness. Also, I refuse to buy snacks. I don't keep chips or ice cream in my house. If I'm hungry, I'll eat some healthy food. If I'm just craving, then I shouldn't be eating anyways. Remember that a lot of junk food is engineered to make you want more. One of the best advice about food I got was from Michael Pollan Food Rules. Basically, the people 100 years ago didn't have amazing willpower compared to us. It's just that they didn't have these foods available. The rule is, don't eat anything that was invented less than 100 years ago. Eggs, good. Cheetos, no. Diet Coke, no. I echo what everyone else says here, that you should take a vacation from these types of foods and not keep them in the house at all. It's way more difficult to overeat on broccoli and chicken than it is on pizza, chips, and soda. I still don't keep Cheez-Its or Little Debbie's in the house at all because I know I'm going to eat way more than a serving. I've got a soft place in my heart for nachos, Oreos, especially mint cream dunked in milk, chocolate chip cookies with peanut butter bits, and a few other choice snack foods that I could binge on until I run out. I can easily consume multiple sleeves of Oreos at a time. My solution? I just don't buy these items except for the rarest of occasions. I find most sweets are junk I can easily enjoy in moderation, so I'll buy a little of those items instead. This is where you have to have willpower. Yesterday, my wife didn't feel like cooking anything, and I wasn't feeling like meal prepping after being at the softball fields with my daughter all afternoon, so we ordered a pizza. In the past, I could probably kill an entire large pizza without a problem. To be honest, I probably still could, but I told myself 2 pieces is what I can have, and that is all I had. I was able to eat my usual meals and have that one treat meal without feeling like total crap. Woke up this morning and I was actually down 3 pounds from last week. I weigh myself weekly. Could or would I have weighed in lighter than that had I not had that pizza for dinner? That's possible, but in the end, I was able to still maintain an overall weekly deficit without feeling guilty about having some pizza one night of the week. And that brings us to the end of the video, Narwhals. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, please tap subscribe to join our awesome community, the Narwhals, and for more weight loss stories that help you stay on track. And here's our featured Narwhal of the day. A female, 22, 5'4", 226 pounds to 176 equals 50 pounds lost. Do you see a difference? I still have 35 pounds to go.